Fisherman and His Wife. There was once a fisherman who lived with his wife in a pigsty, a little shed where pigs once lived, close by the seashore. The fisherman used to go out on the beach and stand all day long fishing, and one day, as he sat on the shore with his fishing rod, looking at the sparkling waves and watching his line, all of a sudden his float and line were dragged away deep into the water, and after tugging on the line and reeling it in, he pulled out a great, huge fish. The fish said, "Please let me live. I am not a real fish. I am an enchanted prince under a magic spell. Put me in the water again and let me go." "Oh ho," said the fisherman, "you need not say so many words about the matter. I will have nothing to do with a fish that can talk. So swim away, sir, as soon as you please." Then the fisherman put him back into the water, and the fish darted straight down to the bottom, and left a long streak of blood behind him on the wave. When the fisherman went home to his wife in the pigsty, he told her how he had caught a great, huge fish, and how it had told him it was an enchanted prince, and how, on hearing it speak, he had let it go again. "Didn't you ask it for anything?" said the wife. "We live very wretchedly here in this nasty, dirty pigsty. You go back and tell that fish we want a snug little cottage to live in." The fisherman did not much like the business. However, he went to the seashore, and when he got back there the water looked all yellow and green. And he stood at the water's edge and said, "O man of the sea, listen to me. My wife Elsa May will have her own way, and has sent me to beg a present today." Then the fish came swimming up to him and said, "Well, what is her own way? What does your wife want?" "Well," said the fisherman, "she says that when I caught you I should have asked you for something before I let you go. She does not like living any longer in the pigsty, and wants a snug little cottage." "Go home, then," said the fish. "She is in the cottage already." So the man went home, and saw his wife standing at the door of a nice, trim little cottage. Come in," said she. "Isn't this much better than the filthy pigsty we had?" And there was a front room she called a parlor, and a bedchamber to sleep in, and a kitchen to cook in, and behind the cottage there was a little garden, planted with all sorts of flowers and fruits, and there was a courtyard behind, full of ducks and chickens. "Well," said the fisherman, "how happily we shall live now." "We will try to do so, at least," said his wife. Everything went right for a week or two, and then his wife, Elsa May, said, "Husband, there is not near enough room for us in this cottage. The courtyard and the garden are a great deal too small. I should like to have a large stone castle to live in. Go to the fish again and tell him to give us a castle." "Wife," said the fisherman, "I don't like to go to him again, for perhaps he will be angry. We ought to be happy with this pretty cottage to live in." "Nonsense," said the wife. "He will do it very willingly, I know. You go along and try." The fisherman went, but his heart was very heavy, and when he came to the sea it looked blue and gloomy, though it was very calm, and he went close to the edge of the waves and said, "O man of the sea, listen to me. My wife Elsa May will have her own way, and has sent me to beg another present today." "Well, what does she want now?" said the fish. "Well," said the fisherman, dolefully and sadly, "my wife wants to live in a stone castle." "Go home, then," said the fish. "She is standing at the gate of it already." So away went the fisherman, and found his wife standing before the gate of a great castle. "See," said she, "isn't this grand?" With that they went into the castle together, and found a great many servants there, and the rooms all richly furnished, and full of golden chairs and tables. And behind the castle was a garden, and around it was a park 1/2 mile long, full of sheep and goats and rabbits and deer. And in the courtyard there were stables for horses and barns for cows. "Well," said the man, "now we will live cheerfully and happy in this beautiful castle for the rest of our lives." "Perhaps we may," said the wife, "but let's sleep and think about it before we make up our minds to that." So they went to bed. The next morning, when his wife Elseme awoke, it was broad daylight, and she jabbed the fisherman with her elbow and said, "Get up, husband, and don't be so lazy, for we must be king of all the land." "Wife, wife," said the man, "why should we wish to be the king? I will not be king." "Then I will," said she. "But, wife," said the fisherman, "how can you be king? The fish cannot make you a king." "Husband," said she, "say no more about it, but go and try. I will be king." So the man went away quite sorrowful and sad to think that his wife would want to be king. This time the sea looked a dark gray color, and was covered all over with curling waves and white ridges of foam, as he cried out, "O man of the sea, listen to me. My wife Elseme will have her own way. It has sent me to beg another present today." "Well, what does she want now?" said the fish. "Alas," said the poor man, "my wife wants to be king." "Go home," said the fish. "She is king already." Then the fisherman went home, and as he came close to the palace, he saw a troop of soldiers, and heard the sound of drums and trumpets. And when he went in, he saw his wife sitting on a throne of gold and diamonds, with a golden crown upon her head, and on each side of her stood 6 fair maidens, beautiful girls, each one taller than the other. "Well, wife," said the fisherman, "are you king?" "Yes," she said, "I am king." And when he had looked at her for a long time, he said, "Ah, wife, what a fine thing it is to be king! Now we shall never have anything more to wish for as long as we live." "I don't know about that," said she. "Never is a long time. I am king, it is true, but I begin to be tired of that, and I think I would like to be emperor." "Alas, wife, why should you wish to be emperor?" said the fisherman. "Husband," said she, "go to the fish. I say I will be emperor." "Oh, wife," replied the fisherman, "the fish cannot make an emperor, I am sure, and I wouldn't like to ask him for such a thing." "I am king," said Elseme, "and you are my slave, so go at once." So the fisherman was forced to go, and he muttered to himself as he walked along, "This will come to no good. It is too much to ask. The fish will be tired at last, and then we shall be sorry for what we have done." He soon came to the seashore, and the water was quite black and muddy, and a mighty whirlwind blew over the waves and rolled them around all about. But as he went as near as he could to the water's brink, at the edge he said, "O man of the sea, listen to me. My wife Elseme will have her own way, and has sent me to beg another present today." "What would she have now?" said the fish. "Well," said the fisherman, "she wants to be emperor." "Go home," said the fish. She is emperor already." So he went home again, and as he came near he saw his wife Elsame sitting on a very high and lofty throne made of solid gold, with a great crown on her head as tall as a Christmas tree, and on each side of her stood guards and attendants in a row, each one smaller than the other, from the tallest giant down to a little dwarf no bigger than your finger. And in front of her stood princes and dukes and earls. And the fisherman went up to her and said, "Wife, are you emperor?" "Yes," she said, "I am emperor." "Ah," said the man as he gazed upon her, "what a fine thing it is to be emperor." "Husband," said she, "why should we stop at being emperor? I will be pope next." "Goodness gracious, wife," said he, "how can you be pope? There is but one pope at a time in Christendom." "Husband," said she, "I will be pope this very day." "But," replied the husband, "the fish cannot make you pope." "What nonsense!" said she. "If he can make an emperor, he can make a pope. You go and do as I say." So the fisherman went. But when he came to the shore, the wind was raging and blowing very hard, and the sea was tossed up and down in boiling waves, and the ships were in trouble, and rolled fearfully upon the tops of the billows. In the middle of the heavens there was a little piece of blue sky, but towards the south all was red, as if a dreadful storm was rising. At this sight the fisherman was dreadfully frightened, and he trembled so that his knees knocked together. But still he went down near to the shore and said, "O man of the sea, listen to me. My wife Elsame will have her own way, and has sent me to beg another present today." "Well, what does she want now?" said the fish. "Well," said the fisherman, "my wife wants to be pope." "Go home," said the fish. "She is pope already." Then the fisherman went home and found Elsame sitting on a throne that was 2 miles high, and she had 3 huge crowns on her head, and around her stood all the fancy pomp and power of the church, and on each side of her were 2 rows of burning lights of all sizes, the biggest as large as the highest and biggest tower in the whole world, and the smallest no larger than a tiny baby firefly. "Wife," said the fisherman, as he looked at all this greatness, "are you pope?" "Yes," said she, "I am pope." "Well, wife," replied he, "it is a grand thing to be pope. And now you must be satisfied, for there's nothing you can be that's greater and more important." "I will think about that," said the wife. Then they went to bed, but Elsame could not sleep all night, because she kept wondering and thinking what she could be next. At last, as she was dropping asleep, morning broke, and the sun began to come up. "Ha!" thought she, as she woke up and looked at it through the window. "After all, I cannot prevent the sun from rising." At this thought she was very angry, and wakened her husband and said, "Husband, you go to that fish and tell him I must be lord of the sun and moon." The fisherman was half asleep, but the thought frightened him so much that he jerked awake and fell out of bed. "Alas, wife," said he, "can't you even be satisfied with being Pope?" "No," said she, "I am very unhappy as long as the sun and the moon rise without my permission. You go to that fish at once." Then the man went away shivering with fear, and as he was going down to the shore a dreadful, terrible storm arose, so that the tree branches swirled and even the rocks shook, and all the heavens became dark black with stormy clouds, and the lightning flashed, and the thunder rumbled, and in the sea huge black waves swelled up like mountains, with crowns of white foam upon their heads. And the fisherman crept towards the sea, and cried out as well as he could, "O man of the sea, listen to me! My wife Elsa May will have her own way, and has sent me to beg another present today." "And what does she want now?" said the fish. "Well," said the fisherman, "she wants to be lord of the sun and moon." "Go home," said the fish, "to your pigsty again." And there the fisherman and his wife live to this very day.
This has been an Augusta State University audio text.
All rights reserved. Copyright 2009. Thanks for listening.